Hello, everyone. My name is Luciano. I'm head of business development at Summer.fi, and I'm here with Seb from Steakhouse, and we will be having a really good chat about the Morpho Morpho Blue and lending. So, Seb, maybe you want to talk a little bit about what you do?
Yes, thank you very much for having me. So yeah, I'm a co-founder at Steakhouse Financial. We are a crypto native consulting boutique for DAOs and other DeFi protocols. And one key part of what we do those days is creating some MetaMorpho Vaults, and we can go a bit more in detail on what they are. And we have started a great partnership with Summer.fi last month. Even a bit more than a month to again integrate Summer.fi and curated vaults on Morpho to give access to everyone. And I'm quite sure we'll go a bit more in detail in what are MetaMorpho and so on.
Yeah, I think that for everyone to know and to understand a bit more, I think to start, I would like to talk a bit about Morpho Blue, which I think it's one of the greatest innovations this year into the DeFi space. Like it has shown quite success into bringing a new kind of risk management idea into the market. I feel like Morpho Blue Designs, which is pair lend based, it's able to express some exploration that was not done before in the market regarding the pairwise based lending protocols. Like if you think through what was happening in the last few years in the DeFi lending space, it was mostly based around share liquidities such as Compound and Aave, which have dominated the lending market for quite a long time. And there was little innovation in the pair-based model. Basically, it was Maker doing its risk, but since Maker is basically you can only work around borrowing DAI, and it was with very conservative parameters in a way, it was limited to that now. And there were some other experiments, some other pairwise lending protocols that were launched in the past, but it wasn't like hugely innovative at least in my view, the same way as Morpho Blue is now. And it has shown some space, some niche in the market that is filling up. And I think that obviously spreading the risk in different curators, in different profiles, in different markets is another interesting way to say, look, there is no one size fits all for the lending space. And I think that's where what Steakhouse is doing fits the most, right?
Yes, correct. And to unbundle what Morpho is, you should think at the core principle is, if you look on the more decentralized protocol, which is Uniswap, you have the liquidity pools that are immutable, no one has any access on it, and no one can do anything. That was for the DEX model, and it worked super well, and that's why Uniswap is so powerful. For the lending, it was never achieved because it was always, it's complicated to have stuff that are immutable, and almost always, not all the time, but most of the time, you have a DAO, usually a DAO, managing risk parameters, managing the smart contracts, having the possibility to add new collateral, to change some parameters, to change the oracles, which obviously create a risk because if they change the oracle or add new collateral, they can create a rug pull, and which is not possible in the immutable stuff. Nothing they will do, obviously, but we never saw that happening. But it's always a risk. What Morpho created is at the core, at the lowest level, you have those pairs where you can have a loan asset and a collateral asset. You fix LLTV, which is the limit loan to value, and an oracle. And those will be fixed forever. There is nothing no one can do to change them. And so that's great, but I mean, life is evolving. Sometimes you need to change the oracles because they are no longer safe. Sometimes you want to add new collateral, and it's difficult to allocate to different kind of collateral. So on top of that, they created MetaMorpho, which allows a creator, and Steakhouse is one, to instruct the smart contract or to guide the smart contract to invest in some specific markets. But again, they took the approach of saying, well, we don't trust the creators or the owner of the MetaMorpho. So the MetaMorpho is immutable smart contract, super small. Everything is super small in terms of line of code to avoid an attack vectors. And the curator cannot do much. I mean, the curator cannot change anything that will allow them to take the funds, for instance. That's not possible. What a curator can do, they can reallocate funds between markets that are already approved within limits. So that's one part of stuff that we do many times per day, sometimes just to optimize the yield for the lenders. But that's purely a clerical action to just optimize the yield for the lenders. What a curator can do as well is add new markets, remove some markets, and that's more or less it. And for those actions that are a bit more risky, adding new markets mainly, because you can add a collateral that is not unsafe, or a collateral that can be risky, then the Morpho team made sure that there is a time lock. And during this time lock, there could also be a guardian that will be able to revoke the decision by the curator. And at Steakhouse, we are very serious about using those features. So we have a 7-day time lock, which is the longest amongst all creators, which means that if we add a new market, you have 7 days to take your funds and leave if you don't like the selection. So that's one aspect. The second aspect is that we have a guardian, and we use the Aragon DAO, which is Aragon is powering a lot of DAOs in DeFi. The main one is Lido. Lido is using the Aragon software as well. And so we are using it, and we say that all the lenders of the MetaMorpho are members of this DAO. And if one wants to say, well, I don't like these decisions that Steakhouse made, they can make a vote on Aragon and say, well, I vote to revoke this decision. And we set up the parameters so that anyone with a small capital can say, well, it's risky, I vote to revoke it. And if no one complains or wants it to pass, but there is no reason if it was not a good decision in the first place, then it will be revoked. So the control the curator have can be quite limited. And I think that's purely what we want in DeFi. We want sometimes people to be able to move stuff around to optimize, but we don't want to give control to parties because that's a trust assumption that we don't want in DeFi.
Yeah, I think that showcases one of the strongest aspects of DeFi. So you have complete transparency regarding what's going on with the lending. You have access to the markets. There is no there's been a trend in these past few years where you can see much of the DAO discourse being quite, let's say, politics about, very complicated, people complaining, a lot of and when things go to stuff like forums or stuff like that, it's already been decided. It's not super transparent and actually clear. So now that it's governed by code, with people who are actually managing the risk in a sensible way and with reasonable safeguards implemented, feels like, for example, me as a lender who is using Steakhouse MetaMorpho Vaults, it seems like, okay, I can be rest assured that I can deposit funds to lender and I can just go to sleep and be completely sure that it's not going to be like, oh no, tomorrow they wake up and they voted some parameters to a new market that's completely done. I have full transparency of what's going on actually there. I can see what markets are available. I have a lot of information. And now that I am able to actually do this through Summer.fi, I feel like the experience is much better, at least for me as a user, because, well, I like Summer UI. I think that we have built some very good features. For example, I think I can share my screen with one of the users who is into the Steakhouse USDC position. So for those who haven't taken a look at this, you can, for example, see this user has made a deposit of 50,000 K. It's showing its earnings today, the current APY with the estimations of the market rate, Morpho rewards, perhaps the ETH rewards who are being streamed to this position, total AP for the last 30 days, which is not taking into account the rewards. So this actual 30-day average AP is much higher. You have how much is deposited into Steakhouse. And you can also see your rewards for the Morpho token, which has no value yet, but hopefully you can estimate the value here. And if you're really, really bullish, you can say, okay, maybe this is 2 billion valuation. I don't know, 750, 100, 500 million. It's interesting. And you can also see the vault allocation breakdown. Where is the allocation of these vaults being lent out at the moment? And as you can see, it's very conservative because it's, I think one of the benefits is that you can actually see this. It's lending against RAPSEC, and RAPBTC, which are both, I guess, good blue chip tokens in the market with high liquidity. And for me, it seems like one of the best kind of ways to actually be a lender into them, into DeFi.
Yes, and to add a bit more color about the selection, our view is that people want to borrow against the blue chip collaterals. Obviously, from time to time, you see activity to borrow against more exotic collateral. I mean, for now, it's all the Ethena stuff. You also have some LRTs, liquid restaking token, which are great, but they are more new. And we want to be sure that whatever we put as collateral, we studied it for a long time. We have a risk assessment, and are at least as sound as a loan asset. So if you have the USDC as a loan asset for stake USDC, we don't want to put any collateral that sounds riskier. And again, the definition is very unclear on what is riskier, obviously, and depends for all people. That's why everyone should review the decision we make and decide for themselves. We cannot decide for lenders, but our view is that people want to lend only against safer collaterals than USDC, which is why, for instance, we also have a vault on PyUSD. PyUSD, in our view, is not safer, but stronger than USDC on security-wise because it's supervised by a regulator. So some collateral could be on USDC, but will not be on PyUSD because PyUSD should be a bit more sound in the collateral backing. Currently, it's the same because we don't take much risk anyway, or at least there are always risks, but as you said, blue chip that anyone can assume will be there.
Yes, I think that's great for many users to actually be able to select many more. Like the spread in the risk profiles that are available is great because you can move away from what's going on in other markets. And at least on my mind, I was looking before into. I had a position that I wanted to move a few months ago, and I was looking into, okay, what kind of markets I can choose to lend out, and I was looking into the classics because I wanted this position to be not a more. It was one of the more risk-averse positions that I was holding, and said, maybe it doesn't make much sense to lend out to Compound because it has a very, at least in my mind, a more riskier asset selection with. And I didn't want to lend out to Aave because I know that Aave has a lot of tokens and they are continually adding tokens because they want to keep their dominant position in the market. And then Morpho Blue came out and it was, okay, great. I can choose very specific asset selection, and I can do it through a curated experience, which means that I don't need to maintain it because with other protocols, I might need to actually check out, hey, are they voting differently? Are the conditions on the market changing? I think that's one of the great things about Morpho. I'm curious a little bit about what's going to happen when and if conditions change for these markets. For example, right now it's RAPSEC, USDC, for example. Let's keep going with this case, right? So the loan to value ratio, thanks to the pairwise model, can be much higher than other places because the risks contained, but also it could happen that the market conditions deteriorate and you need to actually create a new RAMSec ETH USDC market with a lower loan to value ratio, or maybe with a different oracle, but let's think about the lower loan to value ratio. What do you think about that? Do you think that the 7 day, for example, time lock for all that is enough if the markets deteriorate and you need to go to a lower LTV?
So what we can do, as you said, we can select markets, so we can add market. We have a 7 day time lock. So that's good for lenders because that it allows them to have time to react. Again, if they want to revoke or anything. Obviously, that means we cannot move super fast. We have 7 days. I mean, 7 days is not too long neither, because especially when it's a lot of capital at play, the idea is not to move super fast and break stuff. The whole idea is to move slow, think carefully, and put soundness first. But to your point, I mean, it's, let's say we think, well, this the oracle or the LLTV is not good enough anymore. We can remove capital from the market, add a new market. While it gets added, we can keep it either in another collateral or in the idle market, depending obviously on the situation and so on. There was a crash. I mean, I don't call it a crash, but maybe I'm too used to crypto of the last few cycles. But yeah, there was a small crash. So last weekend, everyone was, why there was a lot of liquidation and so on. There was liquidation on Morpho, and everything worked fine. I mean, the liquidation engine worked, so that's great. So yeah, we can manage and take decision to if there is a risk somewhere. But and so, for instance, for Steakhouse ETH that you show on the screen, that's quite interesting because we added new markets. So at the beginning, and still, I guess we still have some allocation depending on the time of the day. Again, we have a reallocation engine that maximize output for lenders using a lot of parameters, and to give you the best APY on the market, or try to give you the best APY, but still keeping the market sound and not taking too many exotic position. But yeah, it was a wrap stake teeth with a Chainlink oracle, with the fluctuation of wrap stake teeth on the markets. And now, not only us, but other curators are migrating to use the value of 1 ETH equal 1 stake teeth. So there is no longer the risk of an attack vector on the oracle. And again, those are the discussions that we spend a lot of time on to think, well, what is the risk of an oracle attack or an oracle risk compared to a risk of DPEG of Lido stake teeth? And those are all the kind of risks that we spend a lot of time to think through. And that's the value for lenders of MetaMorpho, is that, well, you don't have to think what are the risks of a Chainlink oracle versus a fixed oracle. Because, well, someone else is managing it for you. And those are quite complicated questions. And I'm quite sure those questions will evolve for the next few years. There are some collaterals that will have a fixed oracle at the beginning because the oracle risk is quite high. But then moving forward, there is more liquidity, and so you can reduce and use Chainlink oracle or other kind of oracles. Same for the interest rate model. There will be some developments. The protocol is 3 months old. It's super strong. There is more than 1 billion deposited in Morpho Blue. So there is a lot of capital there. So far, safe. There was no hack or whatsoever. But there will be a lot of features added. And what is great in the Morpho model is that there will be new features, but it's not sure your risk profile doesn't change that much. Because if you're trusting the MetaMorpho contract and the Morpho Blue contract, for instance, we change the reallocation engine from time to time to make it better. Well, if we change it, it's not, it doesn't impact you whatsoever. You don't create new risk because it can only reallocate within the rules of MetaMorpho.
Yes. I think that's one of the greatest benefits. It can continue to evolve. It can continue to become a bit more complex for borrowers or for lenders, but for the user, you can just have this passive experience, this curated experience,
yes,
without taking a huge amount of risk, which I think that for a protocol such as this one is one of the key benefits that you can rest assured. I feel like there's been quite a few hacks in the past in different, not hacks, but capital losses that could have been avoided due to Oracle hacks, bad parameters not being updated as fast as it was needed. So capital was allocated to subpar markets, or there was no certain risks parameters that were not there, like borrow caps or stuff like that, that showed some limitations for the current model.
Yes.
And for now, it seems like it's going in the way of Morpho in terms of exploring, okay, this new model could solve some of these issues and could be an alternative to the current market offerings.
Completely, yes. You have the curated experience, you can evolve, the market can change in the MetaMorpho, but you still have the community being able to revoke any decisions. And again, for StakeUSDC, Aragon, which is the guardian we use, their technology, is invested. And so they will be more than happy to use the revocation right if we ever do something bad, that I'm quite sure. So that's why, it's, and again, it's trust. I mean, you don't need to trust us. You need to trust that at least one actor, one of the lenders, will revoke any bad decision we could make. So that's really, I think, not a trust assumption that is not too high.
That's excellent. That's much better than the current other systems that exist. I guess from my point of view in the market, at least from the more conservative side of things, and you can say this is even more transparent than other conservative alternatives. For example, many people have touted a Maker day savings rate as a very conservative kind of lending profile for many who want a stable coin yield. But obviously, Maker has, as it's evolved, has introduced different kind of risk. It's not just the lending engine. It's not just that Maker pays out from the profit from the borrowers. It has different yield sources like real world assets. So this change has made Maker a little bit less transparent for some users. And for others, it's just, okay, this is fine. I'm having some profit that's coming from real world assets or whatever. And in this case, it's, okay, pairwise lending again, conservative. You can see exactly where the money is coming from where is the yield coming from. So I think that's a good kind of differentiated feature.
Yes. And again, yes, you can have your risk appetite can depend. We have one offering that we think is more on the blue chip side, kind of boring. We want a boring offering. And if you want more yielding or more risky opportunities, when I'm quite sure the marketplace will offer it as well. But we try really to be on the boring side because it shouldn't be a stressful experience.
Great. So for users who want to try Steakhouse lending, you can go to Summer.fi/veterans/Steakhouse MetaMorpho, and you will be able to see all options that you have as to lend through Steakhouse as curator into Morpho Blue. You will be able to see basically all the options that are supported right now, and hopefully this will continue to expand in the future as more markets are developed, more lending tokens are enabled, and more people want to basically jump into Morpho and Steakhouse lending. And you will be able to do this through Summer.fi, and we hope that you take advantage of the best UI in the market to do this. Anything else, Seba, that you want to add?
No, I think it's great. And again, just to mention that on the UI, you display the APY is without all the rewards. So currently there is a lot of operations where you get additional wrap stake teas for at least the ETH and the USDC Vault. You get Morpho tokens, which Morpho is growing quite a lot. I will let you do the valuation. And I love that at Summer, you can decide what is the valuation of Morpho. So you can decide for yourself. But yeah, so just taking account that that's the rate just on the borrow side. But as you do, when you click on the page, you can see what is the actual lending rate with all the rewards. Obviously, we are in a bull environment. There is a lot of rewards going on. So it's, as you can see, it's way different if you add them than if you are not. And our reallocation engine is using those rewards to maximize the yield. That's something that could be important to note.
Thanks. Yeah, that's great. And hopefully everyone can enjoy this new product in Summer.fi. Thanks
Sounds
a
great.
lot.
Thanks. Bye-bye.